Very good afternoon, everyone. So, we are really delighted to have you with us today. And thank you for taking the time to join EPR Helpdesk Live Session 2. Now, your continued participation and enthusiasm are what makes these sessions so meaningful. And today, we will be focusing on all five EPR waste streams: plastic packaging, e waste, battery waste, used oil, and waste tire. Now, allow me to introduce our organization, A A Garg Co, which everybody knows from the short name called A2G. So, we are a management consulting firm deeply committed to circularity and sustainability, offering expertise in extended producer responsibility, environmental social governance, corporate finance, and business operations, tech enabled solutions. Our team includes sustainability specialists, environmental engineers, MBAs, chartered accountants, technical experts, and senior partners, all collaborating to provide tailored, high impact solutions that align with your goals and deliver lasting value. With over 5 years of domain expertise, we have supported numerous companies in successfully achieving their EPR compliance and sustainability objectives across multiple obligated waste streams. So, I am Arushi Thakur, your moderator for today, and it's truly my pleasure to guide you through this session. Now, before we introduce our speaker panel, here's a quick overview of today's session flow. So, we will start with the latest updates across the waste streams. Last week, we focused on battery and e waste. So, if you missed it, feel free to check out our recording for the last webinar on our YouTube channel, which was conducted on 11th June. After covering the latest updates, we will address the questions many of you have shared with us in advance. I'll put these to our experts so they can provide clear insights on those questions. After that, towards the end, we will open the floor for a few live questions from participants as the time allows. If for any reason your question doesn't get addressed during the session, so please, you don't have to be worried about it. We will just follow up via email. So if you have any additional queries, you are always welcome to write to us at the email addresses provided, and we'd be happy to support you. Now, it's my privilege to introduce our expert panel for today. So, first up, Mr. Abhishek Garg. He's the founder of A A Garg Co. He's a chartered accountant and an industry leader with 15 plus years of experience in EPR compliance and sustainability advisory. His strategic guidance has helped numerous organizations navigate complex regulatory landscapes and implement impactful sustainability frameworks. Next up, we have Ms. Ipsita Roy. She is Senior Manager at A2G with a rich academic background in life science and environmental science. Ipsita is a subject matter expert in EPR regulations and has been instrumental in guiding corporates towards best practices in environmental sustainability. Ms. Ishika Sisodia is an associate manager at A A Garg Co. with over 3 years of experience in EPR. A graduate in plastics and manufacturing technology from CPIT, she leads major projects on compliance, recycling, and sustainable waste management. She brings strong expertise in regulatory frameworks, supply chain traceability, and innovative waste management solutions. Her work helps organizations align with evolving EPR regulations while driving meaningful sustainability outcomes. So now, before we begin the session, to help us have a smooth and productive session, let's just go through a few housekeeping points for today. So this session is being recorded, but only the discussion, no individual speakers will be attributed. And we kindly request that participants refrain from promotional messages during the session. And please post your questions in the Q&A section. The chat box will be disabled shortly, and our team will review and present them to the panel. To ensure we can cover as much as good as possible, we request you to avoid any repetitive questions. Now, with that, let's begin. I now invite Ms. Ishika to take us through the latest updates across the various EPR waste streams. Over to you, Ishika.
Thank you, Arushi. Thank you for a warm introduction and setting up the context. Hello, everyone. A very good afternoon, and thank you so much for taking the time to join today's call. Uh, so, the key update under the plastic waste management rules is that the annual return filing tab for 24-25 is now live on the EPR portal. However, this isn't just a routine opening. Several new requirements has been introduced this year that significantly impact on how filings must be done. To begin with, the targets for FY 25-26 are now provisionally visible on the portal, but these are subject to the reporting of the procurement and sales and consumption that will be done on the portal. Once you complete this, you'll be able to see your 25-26 targets. Another change is that the mandatory use of recycled content target for FY 25-26 is currently not displayed for the brand owners. It is only visible to producers and importers on their portal. However, brand owners are able to see the reuse obligation in along with the recycling obligations. They are not able to see the use of recycled content target currently. Another notable change that is made is the revision of the annual return filing fees, which has now been increased to 50% of the application fees, up from the earlier 25%. Although there is a notification that the fees has been increased, there are still inconsistencies on how this is reflected for different PIBOs, and we expect CPCB to fix this soon. Another key requirement is that the brand owners who have are using the category 1 plastic packaging in their packaging, they now have to report mandatorily a reuse plan on their portal for the filing of the return. Without that, they cannot file the return. This is a mandatory requirement and they need to upload the reuse plan. Another few changes have been made in the reporting formats. So the brand owners now have the option to bulk upload the invoices along with the statement for the procurement made from the unregistered suppliers. So if you have any procurement which has been made from an unregistered supplier, you, instead of uploading all of the invoices, you can upload a statement along with invoices in bulk, right? However, the producers still do not have this option. They will still have to continue to upload at the individual level all the invoices. Lastly, a very critical and a new requirement which has been introduced for the importers this year is that they are now mandated to upload their GSTR 2A data in Excel as well as in PDF format. This may be used by CPCB to validate their procurement declarations. And the portal is still undergoing a lot of updates and we anticipate more changes in days to come. We'll continue to monitor all of these changes and will provide you further clarifications whenever they are released. This is all from my end. Over to you, Arushi.
Thank you so much, Ishika. Thank you for covering all these latest updates. Since the annual reporting module has recently been updated and opened, there are a lot of updates on the portal, and we have received a lot of questions regarding those updates. So since you have covered these information, a lot of questions are already been resolved. But since even then, we are going to take up those questions towards the end. Now, I will invite Ms. Ipsita Roy to cover the later part of the notifications that are there. Ipsita, over to you.
Thank you so much, Arushi, and thank you so much, Ishika, for establishing the ground. So, I am taking up the draft notification that was recently released by the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change on 4th of June. Please note, this is a draft amendment that has been proposed by MOFCC under the Plastic Waste Management Regulations, known as the Second Amendment Rules. Since this is still in the draft form, so the comments are invited, public comments are invited by the ministry. Up till 60 days of timeline has been given. So the timeline is till 3rd of August 2025. And the comments can be sent to the email ID that is displayed on the screen. Moving on, I'll take up the amendments that are being displayed in this draft notification. They are particularly with reference to the circularity obligations of PIBOs, which is the use of recycled content and the reuse obligations. So I'll take up the use of recycled content first, wherein the target obligations remain unchanged for all the PIBOs. The exemption have been provided and have been displayed on case-to-case basis, which will be provided by CPCB on basis two major requirements. The first requirement is based on statutory, which means that if there is restriction on the use of recycled content through any other applicable law which is in force, or could be basis the technical requirements, which means that the recycled content would render the packaging as unfit for the intended purpose. So these are the two major exemption criteria that have been defined under the rules. Thirdly, for the PIBOs who have been using the food grade packaging, a relaxation has been offered to them, wherein they can carry forward the unfulfilled recycle target obligation from FY 25-26 to a period of up to 3 years, starting from FY 26-27 onwards. It is to be noted that the carry forward obligation shall be in addition to the targets applicable for those future years. This is a very good, excellent amendment that has been proposed by MOFCC. The current draft also proposes that the importers will be the only entities who will be purchasing the Europe credits or the Europe certificates to set off their target obligation for the Europe. While there is no explicit mention of the Europe certificates for producers or brand owners. So exemption option is also provided to importer on the same scenarios. For the reuse category, the subcategorization of category 1 has been made, wherein the volume or the capacity of the rigid packaging containers were more than 4.9 liters or kg. These have now been divided into two subcategories. First category is for the drinking water containers, and the second category is for the non-drinking water containers. For the drinking water containers, the target remains unchanged, while for the non-drinking water containers, the targets have been reduced. So from 25-26 onwards, the reuse target for such containers would start from 10% of the obligation. The exemption here also is being provided on case-to-case basis. The same two categories of exemptions have been provided, statutory and the technical requirements. And there is also a provision to carry forward the target for reuse applications to up to 3 years. So an excellent amendment has been proposed by MOFCC here. Moving on, I'll come to the used oil, which is under the Hazardous and Other Waste Management and Transboundary Movement Rules 2016 and as amended. So the draft guidelines were released for environmental compensation imposition by CPCB on 21st of May 2025. The comments have been invited, and the comments are applicable for 60 days here also. Moving on. So the EC, there are two regimes that are mentioned under the environmental compensation. The first regime talks about the shortfall of the EPR target fulfillment. This is based on it is calculated based on two major, things. First is the cost of collection and transportation, which comes out to 7 rupees per liter. And then there is cost of processing of used oil, which comes out to 11 rupees per liter. Taking the approximate density of the used oil as 0.9 kg or liter and basis which the EC is calculated, the 100% EC which is applicable will be rupees 18 per liter, 30% would be 5.4 rupees per liter, and similarly 100% EC would be 20 rupees per kg in terms of capacity, and 30% would be 6 rupees per kg. In EC regime 2, there are EC regime 2 is actually applicable to all the stakeholders who fall under non-compliances of the regulations. So they may depend upon the registration or the collection or the bulk generate in case of collection agent and bulk consumer on their activities, and separate EC have been defined on different kinds of defaults that will be done. So yeah, this is all about it. Moving on to the waste tire. We have noticed that the annual return filing timeline has been extended from 30th of April to 30th of June. It is very much evident on the portal of the waste tire. And yes, that's about it. Over to you, Arushi.
Thank you so much, Ipsita. Thank you for these updates. So now, since we have covered these updates, so now we are going to move to the question and answer, the session. So while we were requesting you to send all of your queries while you are registering yourself, so we have received a lot of questions in the plastic packaging waste, electronic waste, battery waste, used oil, and waste tire. So I will take up these questions that were put up by the audience itself, and I will invite one by one all our expert speakers to clarify those questions for you. So the first up, I would like to invite Ishika, and I would like to ask Ishika to address all the plastic packaging questions for us. So the first question, just give me a minute. Um, yes. Okay. Sorry, there was some network issue in between. Yeah. So first of all, Ishika, welcome to the panel. And the first question that I have for you today is that as per the amendment dated 24th February 2025, producers are now allowed to print the EPR number in the form of a QR code, barcode on the packaging, or in the product information brochure. However, producers opting for this method are required to inform CPCB in writing. So, kindly throw some light on these marking and labeling aspects under the PWM rules.
Thank you, Arushi. Thank you for the question. So basically, all of the producers, brand owners, or importers, anyone who is printing the marking and labeling, they have given an ease by the CPCB. So earlier they had to print all of this information on the label itself, but for the ease of the PIBOs, CPCB has introduced this option by which they can mention all of the marking and labeling requirements which are mentioned in the rule 11 sub rule 1. So this is something which is important, which everyone should consider, that only the marking labeling requirements mentioned in the sub rule 1, which is basically the name, the registration number, and the thickness of the packaging, should be mentioned in the QR code or barcode or product information. But before printing or using anything in the barcode or QR code, they must inform the CPCB about their chosen method. If whatever they also have to provide a soft copy. So the CPCB has given an annexure. In that annexure, the concerned PIBO have to report the method they have chosen, the category they have chosen for, and all of the packaging that they are using at they will have to provide the QR code, the picture of the QR code. They should ensure that the QR code they're sending out to CPCB, that is scannable, so that CPCB can scan and see the information into it. Or if they are, printing it on the product information brochure, they should share the product brochure copy. Also, if they are using any unique number or any app, the unique number which they can print, if they're using any of that, they should be providing the supporting documents to that. So any option which they are choosing, they will have to provide in the annexure and send it to the CPCB before printing it onto their packaging.
Yeah. Okay. So thanks for the elaborate answer, Ishika. So now, next question that I've received, it is from an organization, and because of the privacy of the clients and everything, so I will not name this particular organization. So this particular organization is an automotive tier 1 supplier, which is providing sheet metal parts to OEMs as per their engineering drawings. In some case, as per customer requirement, sheet metal parts are wrapped using single-use plastic films before supplying to customer. Hence, is the PWM EPR applicable, and if so, under which PBO category? and the organization has only sheet metal part production, which shall be the appropriate PBO category. Yeah, it's quite a long question. Do you want me to repeat it or did you get it?
No, so I understood the question, but just for the confirmation, what I would want to ask you is that the packaging that they're sending the product to their OEMs, is that branded under their own name?
So this is not clear in this particular thing. You can cover if it is branded or if it is unbranded, both the aspects, I guess you can cover.
Okay, so since the it is an automotive industry and they're sending out the sheet metal parts in the market to their OEMs, the packaging, first of all, it is not a single use packaging. There is a list of single use plastic packaging that has been covered under the plastic waste management rules. So as per the plastic waste management rules, the packaging which they are sending to their OEMs will not be considered as a single use packaging. It will only be considered as a packaging which they are using to wrap their products and sending out into the environment, and hence this comes under the purview of plastic waste management rules. Further, since this is unclear that is this packaging branded or not, so mostly they should be getting the registration as a brand owner, because they are sending it directly to the OEMs and using this packaging for sending out their product under their brand. So if the packaging is branded, they should definitely get a brand owner registration. However, if we'll have more clarity on is the packaging branded or not, then we'll be in a situation to clarify this further.
Okay, we will try and reach out to this particular person. We'll drop them an email that if he can share little more clarity on this particular thing. So we will be able to address this question in much more detail. So moving to the next question. For this question is, I guess, almost answered because of the updates that you've covered in the initial slides. But even then, for brand owners, is it mandatory to upload all invoices on the portal? Or can we file data avoiding these aspects since the last date for filing is very near and now CPCB has come out with the additional requirements?
So basically, we cannot avoid the procurement or the sales reporting on the portal. This is a mandatory requirement for filing of the return. Before you file any of the returns, all of your reporting for the current year should be completed. So we cannot avoid it. However, still, for the ease of the brand owner, CPCB has given this option that instead of uploading each and every single invoice, the brand owner can upload the invoices in bulk along with the statement. So that is how this can be covered and done easily.
Okay, so I guess the last question that we have in the plastic category is we are registered as a brand owner and producer under the plastic waste management rules on the centralized EPR portal. However, we do not generate GST invoices for our packaging, production, and internal transfers. Instead, we maintain detailed records of packaging production and internal transfer receipts for each transaction. In such a case, how should we upload invoice related data on the EPR portal? What documentation is acceptable in lieu of GST invoices for compliance and data entry purposes?
Okay. So as per my understanding, since this is the same company which is registered as a producer as well as a brand owner, and they are doing an internal transfer from their producer account to their brand owner account, and they do not have GST invoices because it is an internal transfer, what they can instead do is, as you mentioned, that they have this internal record where they are mentioning all of the transactions that has been made. They can make a statement of that, and along with that statement they can attach a declaration that since this is a same brand, and since this is an internal transfer and we are not transferring from one entity to another entity, we can upload this along with this declaration sign that since this is an internal transfer, there is no GST invoice included to it. However, we have still uploaded the entry and all of the statements of all of the transactions that has been made in a year, and this can be uploaded instead of the GST invoice. The PDF of the statement along with the declaration can be uploaded on the portal.
Okay, great, Ishika. Thank you so much for addressing all the plastic packaging related questions. I guess I had only these many questions. So I will request everybody, if you have any plastic packaging related questions, please feel free to drop them in Q&A section of it. We will try and answer those questions for you. Or if the time permits, towards the end, we will take up 2 or 3 questions. And if that is not also possible, you can drop your questions on our email ID. Kalyani, please drop our email ID and number on the chat box, please. So you can use those email IDs and phone numbers to reach out to us and ask your queries to us. Okay, so thank you, Ishika. Now I would like to invite Ipsita to address the questions regarding e-waste and battery. So, Ipsita? Yes.
Yes, Arushi.
Okay. So, Ipsita, first question that I have is from e-waste. So the question is, as a producer, if we opt refurbishing EPR in e-waste, what will be the process? That's the question.
Okay. In case the refurbishing certificates are being purchased, then the transaction has to be followed via the EPR e-waste portal only, via the registered refurbishers who will be transferring the certificates of the refurbished quantity to the producer's account. In such cases, the producers shall have a benefit that the particular quantities EPR obligation will be deferred and shall be added to the EPR of the producer upon expiry of the end of life of the refurbished product. And to incentivize this, government has also made this that only the 75% of the deferred quantities obligation will be added as the EPR target upon the expiry of the refurbished extended life, expiry of the extended life. So, for example, let's say if a producer has a target of 100 tons in a year, and out of which it has the producer has purchased the recycling certificates of 60 tons, and the refurbishing certificates of 40 tons. And let's say that the extended life of that particular quantum is 5 years, then the 40 tons of this of this refurbished quantity will be pushed forward 5 years. And taking the 75% of the remaining 40 tons, that is only 30 tons of the target will be carried forward. So, 5 years down the line, the producer has to fulfill only the 30 tons of the refurbished quantum obligation. So, yeah, this is the process.
Okay. Next question, again for e-waste is, how are the EPR targets computed under e-waste? Since I guess e-waste there it's quite confusing because we have so many categories and so many metals and everything. So people are quite confused around the EPR targets computation. So please help us understand the EPR target computation.
So, EPR target for any particular triple E, depends upon what is the average life of that particular equipment. The average life has also been displayed by CPCB on the EPR e-waste portal, which can be visible on there, as per the triple E code. And yes, so for example, let's say if there is for any equipment, the average life cycle of that equipment is 5 years. So considering that we are serving in 2025, the average life cycle of the product, the sale of the product that I've made is 5 years. The target of this particular product will be coming down 5 years down the line, that is in 2030-31.
Okay. So we only had 2 questions for e-waste this time, because I guess you have already previously addressed a lot of e-waste and battery related questions last week. So again, everybody, if you have missed the last webinar wherein Ipsita has already answered a lot many questions on e-waste and battery, please visit our YouTube channel and get your answers resolved from that webinar recording. Now, moving on to the battery questions. So the first question, Ipsita, is, as per EPR lead battery import, what all marks or print on battery or product we have to follow during the import? That's the first question. Yeah, you can start with that, I guess.
All right. So, on the battery EPR, the marking and labeling requirements are of the name and registration number. And then there has to be a crossed bin symbol and the indication of what all heavy metal contents are there, a declaration of that. So, name and registration number initially was required on the battery and battery pack. However, further with the clarification of MOFCC's office memorandum, the imported batteries can print it on the equipment or the packaging. Now, there was an amendment on February 2025, wherein the rules now also allow the QR code and the barcode containing the name and the EPR number. It can be on the battery or battery pack. It can be on the equipment having battery or the battery pack, the packaging of battery or the battery pack, packaging of the equipment having the battery or the battery pack, or the bulk packaging of batteries or battery pack, which are not for retail sale. It can also be present on the product brochure. So yeah, these are the ways how you can print the marking and labeling compliances of batteries.
Okay, so the next follow-up question to that is that when should we file return? The annual returns are live now, but is there any extension or is there any date? So when we should file the return for battery waste?
So as of now, the timeline for annual return filing under the battery waste management rules is 30th of June. So anytime before that, you can file the annual returns.
Yeah, so the portal is live now for annual return, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So next question is how to check how much obligation for collection of used batteries and where to show collection and file return. That's another question.
All right. So depends upon what sales you are uploading on the battery portal, and according to the sales that is there, you'll also have to report the metal component which are present, and accordingly the target for the collection of the batteries will also be stipulated to your account. While filing the annual returns, there is a tab for wherein the collection target is visible. And yes, through that tab, you can have the information on what will be the quantity of, the metal-wise quantities will be displayed for collection target. Is that it?
Yes. Okay, so thank you so much, Ipsita. These were the questions that we had for e-waste and battery, but towards the end, if we have any other questions, I will bring you in again. So thank you for now. Now I would like to invite Mr. Abhishek Garg. So we will be taking up questions related to used oil and waste tires. And we have received a few questions regarding these two waste streams since, a lot of there are very less people in used oil and waste tire. So, Mr. Abhishek Garg, Kalyani?
Audible?
Yes, you are. Hi.
Yes.
So, first of all, I'll welcome you to the panel and we'll begin with the questions from used oil. So, the first
Sure.
question that we have received is we have submitted our registration and what should be our next steps in the registration process in the used oil?
Okay. So firstly, if you have submitted your registration, the next step is the approval of the registration from the regulators. And also the question seems very broad, wherein we have submitted the registration, but the registration requirement are little elaborate. How have you submitted registration for what kind of product and what is the quantum? But in generic sense, if I have to tell you, wait for the registration approval, see the target. Then once you get the target, you have to reach out to the registered recyclers whose data is available on the portal. And for the target which is allocated to you, you have to ensure that you get the credits for it. So currently the recycler portal and the credit generation of used oil is still under process. Once that is done, then you can, take the credits and file the returns. And that's what the, the rule framework is designed to. Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, it was quite a generalized question. So I will ask all my participants to ask, very specific questions because it
Yeah.
becomes very difficult for us to address, questions with very few or no details. So moving on, the next question is, how are the targets for used oil being calculated at the time of registration? My
Mhm.
full quantity is sold, question mark. including the sales made to other producers. Can you please clarify?
Yeah, sure. So firstly is that how the target is calculated in used oil. So let's say you are making lubrication oil, and you are selling, let's say, out of 1,000 tons of lubrication oil, you are selling 500 tons to another producers who brand it on their name and sell it into the market, and 500 tons you are selling directly to the customers in the market. While you have to report total 1,000 tons as what you have sold in the market for producers and for yourself, for the other customer and yourself. For the large customer to whom you have sold 500, if they are registered, then the obligation will move to them. Now coming to the 500 tons, your obligation, how the obligation will be calculated. So assuming you are selling lubrication oil, then in the tab when you are putting sales, you have to also mention what is the residue percentage coming out of the product which you are selling for that lubrication oil, and on that percentage will be applied to the total volume of quantum you have sold, multiplied with the 5% target for 24-25. So let's say 500 tons is the total volume you have sold on your brand. The residual value is, let's say, 20%. So the total net residue used oil which will be coming out is 100 tons. Out of 100 tons, the 5% would be the net target, which is 5 metric ton of used oil target. So this is how the target obligation is being calculated. I hope that clarifies the question.
Yes, it does. Used oil, we had received very few questions. So this is it for used oil. Next, I'll
Mhm.
move on to the waste tires. So the
Yeah.
question is, we import tires, out of which some are fitted with the new vehicles sold and some are directly sold onto the market. Do I
Mhm.
need to report them separately?
Yeah. So in the tires portal, in the waste tire portal, when we are registering as a producer, there are 6 options under which you will need to register and disclose your particular quantum and in the modality you are doing. So the 6 categories are: first is manufacture and sell, wherein you are manufacturing and selling the product tire domestically. Second is you sell domestically the tires which you have procured the tires from other suppliers domestically. Third is sells imported tire, new tire, which is what you are getting obligated at. Fourth is imported vehicles fitted with new tires. This is what you have to look internally. So depends on the kind of transaction or the purchase you are doing. So let's say if you are importing, then P3 is the code for you to register and disclose the quantum. And if you are importing vehicles along with which the tires are coming, then P4 is something you have to look into. And there are different requirements being stipulated for the compliances under the waste tire depending on which category of producer you are choosing. So it is little complicated, but you have to look into the definitions, how it has been constructed, and you have to marry it with your current business operations, like how much you have imported only tires, how much tires you have imported along with the vehicles, and how much you have domestically purchased or how much you have produced. So all those things have to be separately categorized, and accordingly the targets will be generated on the portal as per that requirement.
Okay, yes. So thank you for that answer. With this, we have addressed all the questions that we had
Great.
received previously. So thank you so much for that. I would like to thank you all the participants for participating in this particular session. Now, just towards the end, one more thing. We have another tool called Access EPR, which is a unified intelligent platform that simplifies the entire EPR journey. Now, it is designed to help companies go beyond compliance and focus on innovation. And Access EPR reflects A2G's mission to bring clarity, ease, and strategic direction to EPR management. It brings together all EPR platforms across waste streams, real time regulatory updates, target forecasting and credit tracking, simplified interpretations of complex regulations, verified backend data insights, and a dedicated SPOC for seamless support. So you can reach out to us if you are interested in this tool as well. Uh, Here is the review of our this Access EPR's dashboard, wherein you can seamlessly find that it works across all the EPR platforms, so you don't have to keep on switching various platforms for the details updates that you need. All the real-time regulatory updates that are there in the various portals, you will find them at this particular one portal of Access EPR. and it will help you with the target forecasting and the credit tracking so that you do not miss any of your compliances, and it will simplify the interpretations of complex regulations in A to G's language. And you will get a dedicated SPOC who will help you, who will support you seamlessly to understand the portal and all the queries that you have regarding EPR. So yeah, for this session, that's it from our side. And again, thank you to all the participants. Thank you to all our expert speakers who have resolved the queries for all the participants. That's it from our side. Thank you so much, and see you next Wednesday. Thank you.